Kiting. Kiting is when you place a tower attacking troop in the centre of the arena so the opponent's troop follows it, giving you a cheap way to utilise both towers on defence. Kiting is typically used to get rid of a slow moving troop, as a fast moving troop will likely kill your troop doing the kiting before the towers even get a chance to do much damage. Siege defense. A siege defense is where you use a siege building like mortar or expo in the back to act as a third tower. Defensive siege buildings are usually placed when trying to hold a tower lead. Opposing side stall. An opposing side stall is where your troops are attacking your opponent's troops on their side of the bridge. This can be taken advantage of by using a piercing troop like the magic archer or firecracker and having them sit back from a safe range and get chip damage on the tower while the main fight stalls on their side of the bridge. Tornado lane switch. A tornado lane switch is where you switch the opponent's troops lane with tornado. This is usually done later in the game when you can afford to take damage on one of the lanes but not the other, so you tornado the troop to the side you can afford to take damage on, resulting in the troop not being a threat. Troop preservation. Troop preservation basically just means squeezing as much value out of a troop as possible. This is usually done by placing a tank in front of it. Spell bait. Spell bait is where you bait out your opponent's spell with a troop and then place another troop that can only be defended with that same spell. The most common variant of this is log bait, where you bait out the opponent's log and then place goblin barrel and get lots of damage on their tower. Troop spacing. Troop spacing is where you space your troops far enough apart from each other where your opponent can't get spell value. Defensive counter push. A defensive counter push is where you use the cards that have just been defending your opponent's push to create a push of your own. This push can often be devastating for your opponent as they have just committed elixir attacking. Pre-placement. Pre-placement is where you anticipate your opponent making an attack, so you place a building to set up a solid defense instead of risking getting caught off guard. This is normally only useful when you're trying to hold a lead towards the end of a game, but there are other rare scenarios this can be useful in as well. Tower trade. Tower trading is a risky strategy where you exchange towers with your opponent by fully pressing the opposite lane instead of defending. It is usually only best to do this when you are sure you won't be able to defend their push and you have a fast attacking hand. You need to also be wary that you don't get 3-crowned by their push. Dual lane pressure. Dual lane pressure is where you apply pressure to both your opponent's towers. By attacking both towers at once, you make it much harder for your opponent to defend, and you can also avoid blockages on one side. Tornado splash combo. The tornado splash combo is where you combine a tornado with something that deals splash damage. This is effective because the tornado groups everything together, meaning the splash damage can hit everything at once. Electro reset. An electro reset is where you use electricity cards like Electro Wizard Zap, Electro Dragon, etc. to reset the charge of Inferno cards or Sparky attacks. Log charge reset. A log charge reset is simply where you place a log on charging cards like Prince and Ram Rider to reset their charge, meaning their attack deals much less damage. Spell prediction. A spell prediction is where you predict your opponent's card placement by placing a spell that you know will counter it before they've even dropped that card. This can be done on troops or buildings. Bridge sniping. Bridge sniping is where you place a card at the bridge that will get chip damage because of how hard it is to react to. The main cards people use for this are the Princess and Dark Goblin. Spell cycling. Spell cycling is where you cycle to your spells to damage your opponent's towers quickly. This is generally done towards the end of a game when your primary win condition can't break through and you need to get chip damage to win the game. There are even decks built entirely around using the rocket as a win condition and not taking any damage on defense. Pocket snipe. The pocket snipe is where you place a troop that will almost instantly hit the princess tower from the pocket, giving you an easy way to deal damage quickly when you have destroyed a tower. Some cards that do this well are the Cannon Cart, Royal Giant, and 3 Musketeers. If you can think of more strategies, add them in the comments below and I'll do a part 2. I did say in the title of the video I was going to talk about every strategy and I didn't, but I had to keep the title like that because it sounds better.